My brain's splitting off in so many different directions. My brain's splitting off in so many different. My brain's splitting off in so many different directions that no one has the answers to. So many different. My dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Certain things upset me. And my dad was a shrink. Things upset me. What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? What's the furthest star, and then what's beyond the furthest star? Questions that no one has the answers to.
I'm Jeremy Greer.
And I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this is Days of Future Cast, the podcast where Gary and I finish the fight. We're getting close. I'm bringing back our classic catchphrase. Finish the fight.
Finish the fight. Let's go.
Let's go. Yeah.
We've become a 16-bit or a 32-bit JRPG.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Bang.
Maximum esoteric attack.
Fire. All that's good stuff.
Let's do it.
Let's go.
Time to edit. Let's go.
We are in the X-Statix versus the Avengers arc. This is the last issue of that arc. It's the penultimate issue of the series. This is X-Statix number 25. We have seen our boy... just completely forgot his name. Captain America versus the Anarchist. We saw Scarlet Witch. Yeah, my boy that I don't call enough, apparently.
My boy fella.
Yeah,
look at this guy.
My boy Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have seen the Avengers fight the X-Statix. Let's just stop there. Sometimes the
we
Avengers
have to go through
win.
all the matchups.
Yeah. Sometimes the Avengers win, sometimes they don't. This is the last one, and we're going to... wow, my brain is just firing on all cylinders today. Asgard.
Dude, yeah. My brain has been doing that too. People may have noticed when they listen to this recording. I'm recording this after I recorded with Cole for a long time today, which doesn't usually happen. I don't know what your excuse is, but for me, that's why my brain is going bad.
I don't know, dude. I don't know what I did today that caused my brain to be mush, but I don't,
it just happens.
Sometimes it happens, man. Sometimes it just happens. I can't remember things like Asgard for just not exactly at the moment that I need it.
Extremely easy to remember Asgard.
You would think.
One of the big realms.
It's one of the 7, right? Or 9? I don't remember.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Dude, we're out of our depth here. So, we're going to pivot. This is the podcast where we talk about Batman comics.
Okay.
And I would like to talk to everyone about the Long Halloween.
Okay.
That's what we're switching to.
Excellent.
It's not as badly written as most Jeff Loeb things, and Tim Sale's art's incredible.
Okay. Good review.
There we go.
Yeah.
So,
throw 4 stars on that.
If you like
put
this
it
show.
on IGN.
Yeah. The cover of this is phenomenal.
Yep.
Again, the improvised weapons of X-Statix. If you just want to see the most pompous of the Avengers, like Thor, with all his old English and such, fighting Dupe with a broken bottle in his hand.
Extremely
it's just
good.
incredible.
Yeah. This is very, very funny to me. And not only fighting with a broken bottle, but looking like he's in the middle of a bar and somebody just talks shit about the local sports team. Let me tell you, motherfucker. Yeah. Don't you dare say that in this establishment or I will cut you. It's very funny to me. In this issue, Dupe is going to talk at some point, which I find very weird.
Yeah. He can speak English.
Yeah. He's chosen not to for 40 issues. So
yeah. Slick. We get into it here with the beginning with these Hellrider, Valhalla, Valkyrie critters in Asgardian mythology, talking about there being a final contest to come, which is obviously Ragnarok, and how they're going to ride forth once Ragnarok starts. They're waiting for it. These zombie warriors.
Yep. And we get a bunch of history because when they were fighting back in the day, they would basically turn into the Northern Lights that as we know them, and so they're just super here for a big ass battle. That's all that they're looking for. They've been basically skeletally waiting.
Yes, waiting skeletally. Don't give up, skeletons.
Don't give up.
Ragnarok will come.
And then into the middle of this comes Thor and Dupe, already locked in combat. With Dupe has his hand over Thor's neck, and Thor is definitely about to hit that dude with his hammer. And they are in the middle of fighting, and they're looking for the last piece of Dupe's brain.
Yeah. Yep. All of the Thor stuff here, is good. Venus, being the level-headed character she is trying to, make the surely Dupe owns his own brain. Which seems hard to argue with.
I would think so. Like, why would you take away the dude's brain? Like, that doesn't seem right. Like, but hey, it's the 616. They've done a lot of shady shit over the years.
Did you ever? I don't think you're as much of a Fallout guy. Did you ever play the DLC for New Vegas?
I didn't even play New Vegas, so no.
There's you have your brain removed in the beginning of one of those, and then later you get to have a conversation with it, and it's very fun and funny.
Okay, cool.
So there's a good little bit that this reminded me of.
Do you get a second brain or like a robot thing? What's
you do? You have a robot thing, and then you can put in your real brain as well.
Okay,
you can get it back at the end. So, the Thor walks off at this point. With the fight, he's got the brain with him, and he's talking about, or he's looking for the brain rather, because remember, it rolled up on Loki's foot. Mm-hmm. This is very funny. This whole page of like Asgardian politics, where he's like looking for the brain, and people are like, "Is it true that you'll run for president of the Asgard Benevolent Society for a distressed chosen slain?" And his response is, "The mighty Thor meddleth not in such matters." It's so fucking funny.
Very good. And like, I searched for a piece of glowing brain, and then they hit him with the president thing, and he's like, what? Can't Balder do it?
Yeah, and they're like, well, Balder, Loki's spin doctors have dug some dirt on him. And it's all done in like old Englishy, runic font.
Yeah.
Incredibly good. The idea, like, I would read a whole comic about Asgardian, like, democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Either the Guns N' Roses album or the concept.
Oh my God.
So.
Oh man, you'd want to talk about a guy that was disappointed in an album. Whew.
Yeah. You weren't into the story of Shackler?
No, not it.
And Shackler's Revenge?
No, not at all, man. Like, I actually could maybe make an argument for the spaghetti incident. Like,
sure,
it's not as bad as people say. Like, it just comes off of after a great run of albums. But like, democracy. Oof.
Yeah. I listened to that record because I wanted to hear what a record sounded like that took 20 years to make or whatever.
Yeah.
And it just sounding like a Guns N' Roses record, like a bad Guns N' Roses record.
That's it.
Was disappointing to me.
Yeah. It wasn't even interesting and bad. It was just bad. Like, that's the worst thing it could possibly be, is just like average or middling, right? Like, just, it's just a shitty version of this thing that you've been doing for 20 years. Like, or at that point, I guess 30 years. Like, yeah, not good.
If you take that much time, you have to come out with pet sounds. Like, if you're not making pet sounds after that much time, you fucked up, Axl.
I think that's the problem, though, is like you had to drug what's his name to get pet sounds, and like Axl Rose was just drugged all the time anyway.
Brian Wilson. Yeah, he was already pre Brian Wilson.
Yeah, exactly.
They show he gets the brain, and Dupe tries to stop him at this point. And he's like, at this point he says, "And what foul language is this?" And Dupe responds in English, "I'm sorry if my tongue doth offend thee, brain thief." And he throws Mjolnir into him, and Dupe just sucks it up into him, which is great. And he's just fucking clowning on him, like, as far as old Scandinavian hammers go, that was pretty tasty. And there's this great, like, I love the visual of this, where Thor tries to bring the hammer back, and Dupe instead pukes up like just like a dozen hammers.
Fucking great, dude.
Like, just tons of Mjolnirs.
And when he does his like summoning thing, like to bring the hammer to him, like all of them start kind of vibrating and rolling. Like,
yeah.
And of course,
so good.
While he's trying to figure this out, Dupe's like, "I'm going to scoop my brain up and we're going to get out of here." I really thought, because he landed next to Loki's foot, because the brain did, I kind of thought that this Dupe was Loki for a little while, because he started speaking in English and kind of making fun of Thor and like doing like weird tricks like this. So I was like, oh, this is Loki like fucking with Thor in a way that's really, really funny. But of course, like, how would Loki know anything that Dupe is or does, or really what any of this is? So, I don't know. Yeah,
that would make tons of sense. And Loki doesn't have a very big part in this. Like, he shows him on a panel, and he's the brain rolled up there. But his tricksterism, I think the implication is that he's getting them to fight here so it'll wake up the Valkyries.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Because during this fight, the Valkyries keep looking, or we keep cutting away to them, and they're like, "Oh, thunder, old battles, the clash of blades and pikes, getting woken up." So I assume that is the idea of what Loki had to do with this. And it brings them to life, like all these gigantic evil horses and warriors, the Fatal Sisters.
And Thor calls all of the Avengers because, like, hey, it's Avengers time, right? Dupe is like rolling up, and then he like points up, and we see all of these Valkyries on their horses, all looking scary as shit. Horses with red eyes, always a sign that you're about to go into something bad. Like, I don't care who you are. If you roll up with a horse on red eyes, I'm like, all right, I won't fuck with you, man. Chill.
Yeah. I'm gonna get some contact lenses for Autumn's horses as a prank. Yeah. And then just like cut to a newspaper of me dying from trying to put it in.
Or the horse dying, which might actually be worse. No offense.
Yeah. I'll take offense at that. I like to think that, that my life is more valuable than a horse's, but I suppose that's where we're at.
Does your health insurance company agree?
Yes. My veterinarian agrees. So they call the Avengers, and they're getting their ass kicked. And then also, the Avengers show up and it's like, hey, we're doing this for your own good. You have to do this. You have to hand over the brain. And then X-Statix shows up as well at this point, basically saying like, you guys are not alone. Like, we're also heroes. We will fight this world ending threat.
Yeah.
And this is what, they kind of have their verbal repartee at this point, but this is too much force. So the Fatal Sisters go back to sleep.
I love the line here, because they're like, they start out with like, we can deal with these measly 6 modern heroes, and then like the X-Statix shows up and they're like 13 heroes. Hold on now.
Like, Vivisector's really gonna, we get a team with Thor and Scarlet Witch, and Vivisector's really gonna tip the scales.
Exactly. Yeah. And Captain America tells Guy that was extremely responsible of him to join forces and to fight against this force. And of course, Guy is like, this is what we do. Like, we're superheroes. I'm so responsible. You're going to give me Dupe's brain back, right? Like, we're gonna be able to keep him. And then this starts more conversations between like Hawkeye and Vivisector, when Vivisector accuses him of like leading him on and basically conning him out of the piece of brain. Is like, and Captain America said like, from my understanding, you deluded yourself into thinking that you had a future together. Like, fuck you, Steve Rogers. Like, you don't know what it's like. An
understanding, which means Hawkeye just like fucking dished. Like,
so 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Anarchus is obviously sparring with Captain America. Talking about how he won his piece of brain like unfairly. They fight a little bit, and Captain America just fucking knocks him in the face, no problem.
Well, and he also does the race card again, though, right? Like, where he's like, you basically said that everybody that you have to be white to be American. Is Captain America's like, I did not say that.
did not say that. He's got a point. Captain America did not say that. They're about to fight again, and it's interrupted because Dupe falls over dying.
Yeah.
His backup brain is running out of energy. It makes the sound when he's dying is blurp.
Blurp. Not good.
It sounds like a cartoon whoopee cushion as he's spraying all this stuff. And they decide to put aside their differences in order to save him. Like, they put in the brains that they have for the Avengers, and they put in the brains that the X-Statix women have found.
Yep.
To save him.
And this is like, as the women show up with their pieces, Guy actually says like, I think we were wrong about all of this, and we really should allow the Avengers the responsibility of keeping Dupe. And like, when the Anarchist shows up and is like, well, why would you say that? Like, we've been fighting all this time. He's like, yeah, but just look at them. Like, they're heroes. Like, what are we?
Yeah. These guys are fucking Avengers.
Yeah.
The Avengers, because they did this, are like, you know what? That's a big move that convinces me. I've been watching you during this whole time, and we think we can trust you to look after Dupe. You're not quite the devil may care, irresponsible, fame-seeking, image-obsessed posers that you make yourself out to be. And we get this great reaction scene where they're all like, whoa.
Wait a minute, what? We do not like.
Yeah, anarchists. We're not, do not like. We go back to the HQ, and they're all talking about it like selfless. They called us selfless. Very pissed. And Guy Smith he's like, hey, maybe it's time we call this a day. The writings on the wall, like, maybe we should pull the plug. This has run its course.
Yep. And we get the to be continued ? And it will be, because we're going to have, issue number 26 coming up here in just a bit. But that is the end of the X-Men versus Avengers arc, which I think is very good. All of this stuff is really good. Like, I don't know, like, Captain America can be kind of sneaky. I don't know if he set out to disband X-Statix, but if he did, like, damn, that's a sneaky plan.
He did it.
Getting a guy,
that's super sneaky. Well, it wouldn't be surprising because he told them they were responsible to bait them into this in the first place.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, the idea of that being, and then, you know, this isn't Hydra Captain America. This is an evil Captain America, but him being behind the events of the next issue.
Yeah.
Would be really amazing. Like there's no reveal or anything about that, but I like the characters realizing that the concept has run its course, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that like this arc is a really good payoff for the humor side, you know, of X-Statix. Like the next issue is not funny, but it's kind of the payoff for like this arc is more like, hey, these guys are funny. The next arc is like, yeah, but you guys care about them, right? And you do. Like the next issue is sad. The final issue is sad.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, they sell it.
And what a great, like, wrapping all this stuff up in Asgard, like making it feel like X-Statix really is out of their league when it comes to some of this stuff, right? Like they're not designed to take on Asgardian Valkyries wanting to bring about Ragnarok. Like they can't handle that shit. Like they'll show up and help if they need to, but like this is not their lifestyle at all, I think is, and realizing that and going like, what are we doing with our lives? Like what are we actually wanting to do? Like we could do other things besides risk our life and probably get paid for it. So
Yep. It's a good note for them to start ending on.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we will be, that's the end of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
We'll be with you next time talking about the final issue of X-Statix, issue 26. As a reminder, after that, we'll be doing a feedback episode. So get in your feedback to daysoffuturecast.com/contact or at DOFC podcast on Twitter or at JG Greer. After that, we'll be doing a tour of some X-Men #1s.
Yes.
So I can't wait to talk about Uncanny X-Men #1 because it's dumb.
Yes. It's very dumb.
It's a bad comic.
But it's fun. It's fun in a good way. So,
it's interesting to see how these things start.
I'm sure, like I haven't read X-Men #1 in a while, but I'm sure that's not going to be, real.
It's not like it's going to hold up.
No.
X-Men #2 is hilarious because the Vanisher shows up, and that's in the second issue is when you got Professor Xavier being like, I love Jean Grey, but how could she ever love me when my legs don't work? You know, it's like, whoa, hold up.
Whoa.
Hold up on every single possible axis. I got a buddy who owns a X-Men #1. It was like cool to see it. He's got like a decent condition X-Men #1.
Wow, really? How did he come into contact with that?
He bought it. He's like a comic collector guy, and he doesn't have tons of money or anything, but he just like scouts bargains. And like he kind of like does it so they'll appreciate and value. And it was kind of neat. Like it was like, oh wow, like I'm in the presence of the first comic of this franchise I care like quite a bit about.
Yeah.
So it's cool. Thanks everybody.
Yeah, thanks.
We'll brag about my cool friends.
Yeah.
We'll be back next time.
I own a car.
What kind of things
do your friends
own? You got a house, you got a horse, you got a barn?
Yeah. Well, I don't have a barn yet. I've paid for half a barn, but I don't have a barn yet. So
yeah. Well, half a barn. In the land of the Barnless, the half-eyed barn man is king.
You nailed it. That's going to be a really clunky title, but it's going to be there. We'll be back, everybody. See you later.